Good afternoon. Am I audible?
Good afternoon, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. So we'll start. So we have discussed some of the part of the genetic algorithm. We have actually started that particular topic, but last week we have not discussed because of the internal exam. So we'll continue with the same topic. Now, what is population? Okay, we will have some detailed discussion on this population. Now, population is it is something we have to generate a number of the set of chromosomes. Okay, in case of genetic algorithm, and that is because the let us say we have a. I'll go to the board and I will discuss that thing. So let us say a function is there. A function is, for example, it is fx equal to x1 square plus x2 square plus x3 square plus sine of x4. Now you have been asked that now x1 is varying between 0 to 1. X2 is, for example, it is varying between 1 to 2. X3, it is between, let us say, 2 to 3. And X4, let us say, it is between 2 to 5. Okay. So now, what is the value of the, what is the maximum value? Okay. Or something, let us say we have to calculate the minimum. Okay. So in that case, what has to be done? Okay. So population, suppose you have to calculate the maximum value of this. Now we'll assume x1, x2, x3, and x4. These are the variables of this particular problem. Okay. Now these variables will have a set of population. These variables will have set of population. Now set of population, how we'll do that? Let us say we'll generate the number of population is, it is denoted by NP. It is, let us say 10, for example. So what we'll do now for X1, we'll generate 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, like that. So between, we'll take the random value between 0 to 1. Okay, we'll take the random value between 0 to 1. So let us say we are getting 0.12, 0.24. Because random we can select. How to select that random value? Random value will be, let us say if you write rand of 1, that is equal to x1 in MATLAB. So you will get the random values. Okay, and this will be basically how many times you are generating. Depending upon that, it will generate. So let us say these are the set of values. Now we can convert all these things into binary values. These all numbers we can convert into the binary value. So those values are basically your chromosomes. Okay, so these will be represented by the binary numbers, and this will be your chromosomes. Similarly, you can calculate for x2, you can calculate for x3, and you can calculate for x4. Now, how to select this number of population? That is again dependent on, it is dependent on the particular problem and the complexity of the problem. Okay, so now we'll go back to the slide. So usually the standard optimization algorithm consists of a sequence of computational steps which converge to the optimum solution. Most algorithms perform deterministic computational steps based on higher order derivatives of the objective function. The GA-based, that is the genetic algorithm-based approach, differs from the standard approaches due to the fact that while the standard approaches have single point initiation in the search space and move along the direction of the descent, GAs employ multi-directional search by initiating the process through a population of possible solutions. So what we have done, I will go back to the board. So when we are generating this population, we are assuming these are your possible solutions. Similarly for X1, X2, X3, and X4. So basically, it is assumed that these are the basically your set of solutions. So it is random. We don't know, but we have to calculate with the help of this genetic algorithm. So what should be the value of X1? What should be the X2, X3, and X4? So when we have to calculate these values, so we are assuming the set of solutions. These are the set of solutions we are assuming. We don't know what is the actual value. We don't know, but we are assuming that these are the set of solutions, and when the GA algorithm will be implemented, the algorithm itself, it will find out what will be your possible solution, okay, or what is the actual value of the X1, X2, X3, and X4. Now we know that if X1 equal to 1, X2 equal to 2, X3 equal to 3, X4 equal to 5, so we'll get maximum. But this is a very simple one. This is a simple way we can calculate. But yes, this calculation will be done with the help of the genetic algorithm. Okay. Now the problem may be something a complex one. The function may, in most cases, it will not be very easy to calculate. That is this particular maximum or the minimum value. So in case of genetic algorithm, there is a multi-direction search. Multi-direction search means, suppose you are getting fx equal to the, let us say, the maximum value of fx should be, let us say, for example, it is 2.29. For example, this, if you get after this solution fx equal to 2.29, this should be the actual. This should be, let us say, this is the actual. Okay, but in the after running this genetic algorithm, you are getting 1.86. So that means this is the solution which you have got, that is trapped into local optima. Okay, you have not got the actual value. You have got a something reduced value of that. So the solution which you are getting, that is not your optimum solution. That is the solution which you have got, that is trapped into the local optima. So in order to overcome this local optima, the genetic algorithm will have some features which will actually employ the multi-directional search or multi-dimensional search. So that means in the multi-direction, it will search, and how it will search in the multi-direction, we'll come to that point. Okay. So while point-to-point approach suffers from the threat of local optima, the GA has the higher probability of escaping it. So this genetic algorithm has the capability to overcome this local optima, and it can reach to the global optima. That means it can reach to the value of 2.29. Otherwise, if you employ any conventional, or let us say classical technique, classical optimization technique like Lagrangian technique, Newton-Raphson technique, there are many techniques are available. Classical techniques are available. But with the help of those techniques, if the function is non-differentiable, at certain points, that means will not get the derivative of that particular function in a particular point. Those points, the GA has the capability to overcome that particular local optima. Okay, so the GA starts with a group of chromosomes known as the population. So what we have discussed, there are set of solutions are there. These are set of solutions. So those, with the help of those set of solutions, it will start the operation. Okay, we don't know what is the solution. So sometimes what we'll do in the numerical problem also, suppose let us say a problem is given, and you have been asked certain parameters. So what we'll do, we normally assume let the value of that particular solution be x, and then we start calculating. Okay, and finally we are getting the value of x. So here also same thing, we don't know what is the actual value of the solution, but after the repetitive iterative process, will come to a conclusion that this is the optimum value of that particular solution. So the GA will do the same task. So the size of the population is an important parameter that needs to be tuned by the designer of the GA. So GA, the genetic algorithm, the size of the population has to be defined or has to be calculated with the help of a by tuning the algorithm. So how to tune those things, we'll see. See, if you assume, let us say, how to tune this thing. So that is again another task I will discuss. So here your actual value of fx should be 2.29, and let us say the local value, if it is trapped, it is 1.86. So for example, if you have taken NP equal to 10, you are getting 1.86. Now, for example, if you have taken NP equal to 20, you are getting fx equal to, I will go to the next slide. So if you have taken NP equal to 10, for example, this is a just for the discussion, I am assuming 1.89, NP equal to 20, if you have assumed, you are getting something 2.01. If you have assumed NP equal to 30, you are getting fx equal to 2.12. And if you have assumed NP equal to 40, you are getting fx equal to 2.18. And if you have assumed NP equal to 50, so fx equal to, you are getting 2.29. So what should be the value of the what should be the value of the NP? NP should, which value we should choose? Which value we should choose? NP value? What should be the value of NP then? Hello, please tell me, what should be the value of NP for this particular case? Hello. Please.
Yes, sir.
So what should be the value of NP? You have assumed NP equal to 10, then you are getting fx this, then 20 this, 30 this, 40 this, 50 this, and the optimum value of fx equal to 2.29. Okay, so what should be the value of NP then? Which value we should choose out of these 10, 20, 30, 40, 50?
50.
Huh?
50.
50, correct. So we should choose 50. So this, the number of population, again, it is an important parameter which has to be tuned properly. Otherwise, we will not get the optimum value of the solution. Now, the complexity of the problem, which is reflected by the size of the search space, is a factor to be considered while fixing the size of the population. So depending upon the complexity of the problem, this particular population has to be tuned. So the initial population is normally randomly generated. I told you that initially, when you start your problem, you have to assume something. How you will assume? It is assumed randomly. Okay, it is normally assumed randomly. So in a numerical problem, if you don't know any value, you normally assume that value, let it be x. Okay, now you start solving that problem. You will do some steps, and finally you will calculate the value of x. Or maybe if it is, let us say, there are 3 unknown numbers, so you will assume x, y, and z. So similarly here, that is here in that case, you are doing with the help of the paper and pencil. Okay, so but in this case, the computer will do. The computer will calculate. So computer has to be given certain initial solution. So those initial solutions are basically your initial population, and those population has to be generated randomly. Now here you see, just I told you that it is randomly generated initial population. So let us say there are 10 populations, and the chromosomes are, these are assumed chromosomes. These are basically assumed chromosomes. So these assumed chromosomes are there, and based on these, the fitnesses are calculated. Okay, so this is just to show that how the populations are generated, and based on that, the fitness has to be calculated. Fitness means the value of that particular objective function. Objective function in this case, it is fx. Okay. Now, any doubt on this particular population? Anyone? You have any doubt? How to select the population, or what is the importance of this particular population? Anyone? Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
Okay,
Yes, sir.
correct. Next, we'll discuss that is the GA operators. Okay, there are certain operators which are actually there in the GA genetic algorithm operation. Okay, so those operators are basically, these are the three important operator. One is the selection, second is the, and third one is the mutation. So these are the basically three important parameters, or not parameter. These are three important operators which will actually operate on the algorithm, and based on that, we'll get the optimum solution. So how these operators are employed, how to do those operators, means how to employ those operators. Okay, we'll see in detail now. So in the natural evolution, GS employs three operators, that is selection, crossover, and mutation on the population to evolve them towards the optimum solution of the target optimization problem. So in GA, there is a three operators are there. Those operators are, so there are three important operators which all of us must know. We'll discuss in detail. So this has to be kept in mind. So GA operators. What are those operators? Can you tell? First is the selection. Second is, what is that?
Crossover.
Very good, crossover. That is crossover. And third one is your mutation. So this is basically, you know, this thing in your biology. If you fourth subject in your class 10 or 12, so these things were there, and this particular thing, it is applied in the technique. So this is the beauty. So this is a concept of biology, it is implemented here, and how to do those things in the mathematically. So we'll see those things, how to do those things. But the concept is taken from the biological science. It is a natural evolution process. So the concept of biological science, it is implemented. Okay, so we'll see in detail that what is these operators and all those things. So while the selection operator ensures the continuation of the good qualities in the solutions, the crossover and mutation operators help to explore the entire subspace by providing reshuffle of individual traits and variations. So that means there are two things. The selection operator, it will always ensure that whether your quality of the solution is good or bad. Okay, so this is a selection operator will basically do this kind of operation. We'll see that in detail one by one, step by step I will discuss. And then crossover and mutation, these two operators basically, it will do the entire, it will explore the entire search space, and it will find out the let us say the best solution or the optimum solution by reshuffling of the individual traits and variations. Individual traits and variations means it will change the property or the characteristic of the genes. It will change the properties or the characteristic of the genes, and by changing those properties, the next generation, the offspring which will be created from the next generation, that will be better than the previous one, that is from the parents. Okay, and we'll see the characteristic which the let us say the offspring or the child will adopt, so that will be better than the parents. And by the way, if we take those properties or those traits in the solutions, and then finally we'll be able to get the optimum value of the solution. So that is the desired thing. Okay, so how the step by step it is done, we'll see that now. So first is the selection. Okay, so how the selection operation is done. Now you see let us say one example. I will take one example. Let us say there are an n number of ants are there. Ant, all of you know ant? All of you know ant?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so they are very small, let us say, living beings. Okay, they normally, their characteristic, if you see their behavior, they will move in one direction. They will move in a multi-direction. Yes or no? So if let us say ant is moving, So it will move here and there, and basically it will search for the foods. So let us say ants are there, so they will be going in a line by line. Okay. So if the food is here, let us say, so gradually they will move here to here. So they will always try to gather the food. Okay. See, normally what will happen in our any let's say household purpose, if you place some food in a open space, what will happen? We'll see there is a number of ants will be accumulated. Okay. So how the ants are coming? See, when you have placed that food, so you don't know that the ants are there. Yes or no? But after some time, you can observe that yes, there are n number of ants, a multiple number of ants are there, and they are moving here and there. Okay, and they are taking food and they are going to in some other space. Okay, so that means basically food is your optimum solution. So ants are searching in the multi-direction. They are searching in the multi-direction. Okay, their path is, you don't know. It is a multi-directions path. Okay, some ants will come this way, some ants will come this way, some will be coming this way, but finally they want to reach to this particular food. Okay, so food is basically their final objective. They have to receive that food and they will move to their shelter. Okay, so now what will happen? Let us say the ants who are getting these foods, they will survive, but the ants, those who are not getting these foods, they will not survive. Yes or no? So the fittest one will survive, and those who are not fittest for the environment, they will not survive. They have to leave this place. That means they will die out and they have to leave this place. So basically, as per the Darwin's theory, if you refer the Darwin's theory, so as per the Darwin's theory, the fittest person let us say living being, that will survive, and non-fittest living beings, it will not survive in this particular world. Okay, so we'll see that thing in detail, that how the selection operation is done. So there are various techniques to realize the selection process. Okay, now here first, the members of the mating pools are picked up from the current population with the help of selection operator. So there will be a mating pool. That means for the next generation, they will be picking up, means we have to pick up the mating pool from the population. So you have generated a set of population, let us say maybe a 10, maybe 20, maybe 30 or 40, depending upon that. But which chromosomes will actually do the, let us say, will be coming for this particular mating pool. So that is again picked up from the current population. I will come to that particular point. Just I will just go through this slide and then we'll come back. There are various techniques to realize the selection process. All of them, some way or other, are based on the Darwin's principle of survival of the fittest. So survival of the fittest, it is basically Darwin's principle, and based on that, every living beings there that is survived. Okay. In other words, the selection operator is designed in such a way that the chromosomes with higher fitness values have a greater chance of being selected for the mating pool. So obviously, it is a kind of thing. Let us say living beings which has let us say having a higher amount of energy will move here and there, or the living beings which is having a less amount of energy. Okay. That will move less. Okay, so that means here also the chromosome which is having higher fitness means higher value of objective function, higher value of effects, that will move, that will be selected for the next population. So that means obviously that is that particular chromosome will have a better kind of traits, better kind of characteristic. So if the offspring will be generated from that particular chromosome in the next generation, whatever let us say the offspring will be generated, that will have a better trait. So if the better trait is there, finally it will reach to the optimum value. So that is how it is done. This is basically theory. Now we'll see mathematically how it is done. So however, the lower fit chromosomes should also have their chance of producing offspring. So here also the lower fitness function, those chromosomes will be also given equal chance for producing the offspring, but they should not be blocked altogether. There are several selection techniques available in the literature. So out of this selections technique, there are two of the most widely used selection operators are there. One is the Rowlett field selection and second one is the tournament selection. So first one is the Rowlett field selection and second one is the your tournament selection. So we'll see that how the selection process is done. In the Rowlett field selection, it was proposed by the John Holland and is possibly the best known selection type. So how it is done, we'll see that. So like how we have to select. So selection means we have to choose. We have to choose means to whom we'll choose. Obviously, the best one will be chosen. Okay. If let us say in a campus interview is going on. So the company, they will choose some of the fittest candidate for that particular company. Okay. So similarly, when we are generating the next population, next offspring, so the fittest one will be selected. Now, how to characterize those fittest candidate? Okay, fittest one will be actually going to the next population or the next generation. That depends on the characteristic or the traits of that particular chromosome. So that means the particular chromosome which is having the higher value of the fitness function will be actually entering into the next population or the next generation. Okay, so in a campus interview, what will happen? They will find out they will ask certain questions to the candidates, and then what will happen? They will see that for that particular company, what are the things they require, and based on that, they will select that those candidates will be selected. So now here also the same thing in the Rowlett field selection. There are now n number of chromosomes are there. Out of each chromosome will have their own fitness function, and these fitness functions are basically calculated with the help of the function which will be given, that fx will be given, and the higher value of the objective function will be chosen for the next iteration or the next population. So let us consider a population of pop size number of chromosome. Pop size means number of population. So that is chromosome 1, chromosome 2, and this is up to the chromosome. N number of chromosomes are there. If you have as a population size is, let us say n. So if it is 10, then 10 chromosome will be selected. Okay. So with their fitness values, this F of CHR1, F of CHR2, we'll go to the board and we'll discuss. Let us say what is that. Now in the Rowlett wheel, so this is Rowlett wheel. Now let us say there are NP equal to 10. So how many chromosomes will be there? How many chromosomes will be there? If population is 10, please tell me how many chromosomes?
10, sir.
46.
How many?
10.
How many? 10 or 30, 40, 50, 100. How many? Huh? It should be 10. Okay. Chromosome 2, chromosome 3, like that. Let us say there are 10 number of chromosomes. And each chromosome, so let us say the function is fx equal to x1 square plus x2. And there is certain limits are there. Okay. So in every case, let us say this particular chromosome, the initial value is 2, this is 3, this is 4, and this is 7. These are, you have selected between 0 to 10, for example. X1 is varying from X1 is between 1 to 10, and X2 is, let us say, between 2 to 10. So this is your X1 values, and similarly you will choose X2 values. So X2 values will be, let us say, this is 3, this is 4, 2, this is 8, and let us say this is 9, this is 5. Got it? So the fitness function, what will be your fitness function? Fitness is fx. So fx will be what? This is x1 square plus x2 square. So initially 4 plus 9, it is 13. This will be 3 square plus 4 square. 9 plus 16 means 25. So this will be 4 square plus 2 square plus 4, that is 20. Like that. Okay, this will be 9 square means 81 plus 25. 81 plus 25 is 106. Okay, so you have got this fitness value. Have you got it?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now let us say how to choose this particular in the selection process. How we'll choose this particular value. So from this given value, let us say I will write all values. For example, this is 7 square plus 8 square. So how much? This is 49, 64. 49 plus 64 is how much? This is 13, 11. Nah? So 113. Okay. This is 113. And this is, let us say, 78. For example, I am writing some values. Now, out of this is the highest one. So the particular chromosomes, this is the chromosome, let us say chromosome 7. So chromosome 7 is having the highest fitness value. Chromosome 7 has the highest fitness value. So if the chromosome 7 is having the highest fitness value, so we'll select that particular chromosome. So particularly in the next generation, the chromosomes which will be selected, that is X1 will be 7 and X8 will be equal to X2 equal to 8. So this will be your set of chromosome having the X1 and X2 values, which will be actually entering into the next population or the next generation. Is it clear? Is it clear?
Yeah.
If there is any doubt, please tell me. Okay, so now you see there is a route wheel. So this is a roulette wheel means there is a wheel. So at the circumference, we are pointing those fitness value. I have calculated those values. Let us say corresponding to first chromosome, what is the fitness value, second chromosome, this. So these are actually placed here at the circumference. Okay. So that means here, if you just, I will go to the board. So these are this is fx1, I will write here. For example, this is your f of first fitness. So that means f of CHR1, f of CHR2, f of CHR3, like that. And this is f of CHR10. Okay. Now, all these things are basically, it is plotted in like a wheel. So let us say this is a wheel. Okay. Now this wheel at every point, so let us say this point is your f of CHR1, then this point is f of CHR2, then this is third point f of CHR3, and this f of CHR4, this is f of CHR5. So it is assumed that all these fitness values are placed at the circumference of this particular roulette wheel. F of CHR7, F of CHR8, F of CHR9, and finally, let us say this is your F of CHR10. Now, which one having the highest value of the fitness value? Which one?
7 and 8.
Huh?
7 and 8, sir.
Not 8. 7 and 8 means chromosome is?
Chromosome is 7 and 8.
7.
Chromosome is 7. Chromosome is 7. Okay. Chromosome 7 has two values, X1 and X2. Okay. X1 is 7 and X2 is 8. So it is basically chromosome 7. So what we'll do? Sorry, I think we have missed. So this is, let us say, center. For example, this is your center. And so these are your chromosomes. I will just draw. These are your chromosomes. So these are your chromosomes. So which chromosome will be selected? The seventh one. So seventh one will be selected. So that means this particular chromosome, it is selected. This is selected one. So this is your selected one. Why we are selecting this thing? Why you are selecting? Because it has a higher value of the fitness. Now is it clear how we'll select?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Similarly, here also the same thing. So whatever I have just discussed, that is given here. So it is here it is given that particular description. So in order to select a chromosome from the current population for the mating pool, a random number is generated between 0 and some fitness. Let X be the random number generated in this way. We now locate the point P on the circumference of the wheel at a distance X from the starting point S. Class নিচ্ছে আমি হ্যাঁ স্যার ক্লাস নিচ্ছে আমি ক্লাসের পরে করছি আপনি So the chromosomes within whose limits this point P is situated is selected for the mating pool. This procedure is repeated for the population size time. Since the regions on the circumference of the Rowlett wheel are proportional to the fitness values of the corresponding chromosome, those with high fitness values are likely to get selected more often than those with the low fitness value. So obviously we'll choose the which one? We'll choose the chromosomes which is having the higher fitness value, and those chromosomes will be actually taken in the mating pool so that the next generation, the offsprings, will be created from those chromosomes which are having the higher value of the fitness. Okay. Now is it clear, this Rowlett wheel?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so I give your attendance. I think we have attendance slide also. Yes, I will just once again share it. I think it is in the last slide. So you just give your attendance, but I think that attendance timing has to be increased because you cannot put your attendance. Just let us try. Let us try. Are you whether you are able to? You are able to do this? Huh? Attendance हो रहा है? Yes or no?
No, sir.
There is a problem. I know. What is the problem? Who can guess? Who can guess? What is the problem?
Timing, sir.
So why this has happened?
12:30 last time.
Because the class was scheduled from 11:30 to 12:30. But I have not taken class on that particular time. So the LMS is not allowing this particular attendance. So now I have to increase this time. I have to increase this. Just I will. Now I think you will be able to do this. Please put your attendance. Now it is working. Is it working?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So put your attendance now. Okay. So you have class. Huh? You have class.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So put your attendance. Okay. Then is it over?
Over, sir.
Over. Okay. For all of you, it is over, na? Okay, fine. So I'll stop share this thing. So thank you to all of you. Okay, we'll close this meeting. Okay. Close this meeting.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.